Super excited today to welcome you to a brand new episode of Shut Up and
And
Thrive.
thrive.
My name is Brandon Styll, and I am excited today to be joined with Debra Sunderland, your host. Debra.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Co-host, let's say. Thank you for having us. And we're super excited about our guest today. And Brandon, why do we do this podcast? What's the purpose of this anyway?
Well, I think that a lot of people out there have an inner voice inside of them who tells them that they can't. It's designed to help keep us safe, and it's this little voice, this little thought all day long that tells you, "Don't do that. That could be dangerous." And it helps us live in fear because, God forbid, we actually get out there and try something and fail. So the point of this podcast is to unlock the inner, just inside of you. Tell that little voice inside of you that's telling you that you can't, that you can, and telling it to shut up so that we can collectively thrive.
That's exactly.
That's a very literal answer. If you wanted more, I can go.
I love that. So thank you. And I just want to say, when something's coming up in my mind when you say that, I have a potential client that I've been working with. We've had 2 introductory discovery calls the last 2 weeks, and she's been growing and she wants to grow her business even more. And she's having this stop in her revenue. And she emailed me overnight. And I have a system on how I transform decision-making cultures, teams, and it's worked for years. And I could sense even in the email, there was some fear there on her response. I could feel the energy and in her decision-making on how she wants to move forward with me. And so I emailed her back and I said, where are you making this decision from? And is there a pattern here in your decision making that you can witness in yourself that might be repeating the same outcome that you already have, and it's not going to move you forward? And what do you most fear and what do you most want? Because it's the same coin, just 2 different sides. And people tend to make their decision from fear, not want and trusting. And I asked in this email, are you willing to get really uncomfortable? Because if you're answering me in a state of, and we're going to be on a call later today, so I'm super excited about that, but I just want her to be sitting with this already. Like, is there this part of you that says, stay safe and don't get uncomfortable and make a small decision? Because when we make small decisions out of fear, we can never get an outcome we want. It's impossible. It's fighting against what you want. And so this is exactly what you're saying. So thank you for sharing that.
Debra, what are you celebrating today?
Thank you for asking. I'm celebrating having Jen Hill on our call. She is super awesome, and we believe in the same thing. We practice very much similar things and believe that when we have people who are doing their internal work together, because we all have blind spots, we can lovingly see that in each other and encourage each other to have maybe a new perspective. So I'm really excited to have her on our call today. I'm excited that it's sunny outside and that I woke up, that I have breath, that I have this now moment. And I'm excited that you get to be here with me on this journey, Brandon.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
What are you celebrating?
You know what? You got me today. I wanted to get you and say, what are you celebrating, so that I could think about what I'm celebrating. I would give a generic answer. You know, I'm celebrating balance. You know, every week I talk about the practice, that it takes practice to do this work, and it takes practice to recognize emotions when they're happening. And as an ADHD guy, I tend to hyper focus and go all in on something and let 5 balls drop over here. But man, I crushed this thing over here. And really balancing that out: time, family, energy, health, all of the different things, so that I'm not just beaten up. And I've been focusing on that and spending that time intentionally with my kids and saying, yeah, I'm going to deprioritize that thing that I thought was really big, and I'm going to I'm going to prioritize things that really matter. And I've taken a little bit of time to stop and just kind of reprioritize. And it's been really a blessing. And so I'm going to celebrate balance today because it's something that I haven't focused on and I am now. And that's my thing of the week.
I love that. When you say that, one last thing before we bring Jen on. You're a head type. So I'm wondering if you're checking in with your body when you're making your decisions and your emotions. Just a toss for you to consider going forward.
I'm trying to. I'm never perfect at it, but I think that's something that I've definitely done a great job at through breath work.
Awesome.
It's the biggest problem for me, and I imagine lots of people, is the pause. Is we get so riled up in every little thing, and there's so much stimuli everywhere that we don't stop. Stop for 30, stop for a minute, take a few deep breaths, reset, and go back after it. You don't have, it's not just this frenetic pace you have to be at. And sure, it's great, but like my wife said the other day, I was in the left-hand lane, and I was like, why doesn't this guy get over? And she goes, I just drive in the right-hand lane now, and I don't deal with it. It's so much less stressful. And so yesterday I drove home in the right-hand lane, and I was like, this is actually kind of nice.
I love that.
I'm not like, why isn't this guy going fast? Because I just want to go fast. And it's like, hey, slow down a little bit. It's okay.
Yeah. So, it's arguing with what is, right? Mm-hmm. That causes us to suffer. I love that. Okay. Will you welcome and share with the world this beautiful masterpiece of Jen Hill?
I am so excited because I've been watching her as we've been talking, and I'm like, I want to hear her take on this stuff. I want to know what she's celebrating. That's the most important thing. Let me tell you about Jennifer K. Hill. She is an entrepreneur. She's an executive coach, advisor, and keynote speaker with more than 20 years of experience helping leaders build meaningful success and connection. She exited her first company in 2018 and has since worked with entrepreneurs, executives, and thought leaders around the world. Jennifer is the founder of the Jen Hill Tribe Love Club, a global community of entrepreneurs, best-selling authors, and visionaries dedicated to personal growth, conscious leadership, and creating positive impact. She is joining us all the way from Lisbon, Portugal. Ladies and gentlemen, Jen Hill.
Yay! Thank you for being here. Yes. So just like Brandon said, what are you celebrating today?
I love this question. I actually start every morning with 10 things that I'm grateful for. And then throughout the day, I write down whatever miracles I have throughout the day. So I'm celebrating getting to spend time with both of you and drop in and be on this incredible show. I'm celebrating sunshine, blue skies, magic miracles, cuddle time with my husband and dog, seeing a dear friend and tribe member, Nick Staub, who came by the house earlier, and we had coffee, and he coached me on a speech, and he is one of the top sales trainer speakers in the world, and he trained me, and it was mind-blowingly good. And so I'm celebrating just life. I'm celebrating breathing, being alive, and getting to spend time with both of you and your audience.
Thank you. Yes.
I think that calls for
I love that. So when you hear us talk about the part of us that we don't want to drive anymore, we welcome it, but we don't allow it to drive us. What has been transformational for you, the people you're working with? I love how Brandon said we've got a world of so much stimulation coming at us and so many opportunities, and the pause and all the things we're talking about. What comes up for you?
You guys are speaking my language. This is literally the keynote I often give, called Cracking the Code of Human Connection. And step one, I teach people in what's called the golden triangle of connection, is connection to self allows for connection to others, which allows for connection at the top here to purpose and intimacy. Now, what's missing, why most of us, to your point, and thus the name of the show of Shut Up and Thrive, The reason most of us are unable to facilitate and cultivate deep, meaningful relationships with others and purpose and life is because we are operating from our amygdala. There are three parts to the brain, of course. We have the lowest part of the brain, the reptilian brain, also known as the amygdala. We have the midbrain, the mammalian brain. Am I safe? Are you like me? Can I trust you? And then we have the highest part of the brain, the neocortex, our capacity for love, connection, imagination, and intimacy. Though what most people don't realize is that our higher brains cannot even function until our lower brain first feels safe. So when I started studying and doing work with heart math about 6 years ago, my mind was blown when they shared a project called Project Aristotle that Google did. Now, it's one thing for me to tell you this and say, oh, Jen Hill says this, but Google actually went out in 2012 and wanted to find out what is the number one factor in team success. What do you think, Debra and Brandon? Would you guys like to give it a guess or know what it is?
I'd love to know what it is. The number one factor in team success.
Yes, Debra.
Leadership.
Is everyone owning their own responsibility of being self-aware of how they think, feel, and behave, and taking responsibility to know themselves so that they can show up for themselves, first of all, and decide which part of them is going to run their being open or not being open.
So close. You both paraphrased it in a certain way. Brandon said leadership. You said people's ability to feel really safe there, Debra. So you really hit the nail on the head. What shocked even Google as they went out and did the study, they studied 38,000 team members across 180 different teams. And the number one factor in team success, you ready for it? Psychological safety. And so this has been my life's work. And so if we can't create psychological safety for those around us with others, then that creates a breakdown and divisiveness and a lack of trust. This is why teams fail, businesses fail, marriages fail, friendships fail, is because we don't understand how to quiet that amygdala, regain access to our prefrontal cortex, and how to cultivate psychological safety. And most importantly, this is the lesson I had to learn the hard way over and over again as I failed many times in business, is regulation of your nervous system. If you don't know how to regulate your nervous system, I love that you tied in earlier, Brandon, breath work, and I know Debra is passionate about this as well. You are literally not going to be able to feel intimate with other people because otherwise that amygdala is the one trying to have reactions with other people. And so one of my favorite things when we do a Jen Hill Tribe social hour is we pause. We start normally with 1 to 2 minutes of heart-focused breathing by heart math, and then we breathe in connection. And scientifically, this has been empirically validated now for 40 years, worked with doctors, scientists, astronauts, first responders, business people. When we quiet that, then intimacy, then connection, then psychological safety emerges from it, though we have to be equal participants in it to be able to have the life that we love.
I love that. Exactly. And it's goes along with exactly what Brandon was saying. If we don't pause to notice ourselves, we have to be our participant in our healing, and creating psychological safety isn't out there. It has to start in here. And so I love that you're saying that, because if we let the amygdala run us, we're going to be running in fear all the time and moving through that, through the spaces of our brain in order to create psychological safety. And most people believe, I'm sure you, Jen, would agree, is that if someone out there could change, then I would be safe. And really, I believe, and I'm sure you do, people are just being people. And they're really for our growth, our own growth. Just them, if they don't change, it's for us to realize this person's just doing their thing, and that's something I haven't healed or I haven't mastered inside of myself in order to be psychologically safe, regardless of what's going on out there. And yes, companies are going to thrive and grow if everyone is practicing. They're going to go way further together. And it's interesting. I'm wondering if you're finding that a lot of companies still, I would say, are not realizing the science. They're still wanting to get the outcomes, the revenue, and they're not realizing it's not the doing, it's the being that changes everything. What are you finding about that?
It's a beautiful question, Debra, and it actually goes back to the 20 years I spent in the legal recruiting field working with some of the top law firms and corporations around the world. What was really beautiful, Debra, was even a decade ago, even 15 years ago when I was building my last company in that field, there was a hunger, a deep desire for connection. And I think that we've begun to see kind of the peak of the tipping point in the corporate arena, where people are aware that there was an old way we did things. There was the old way, pre-AI, pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, right? And there's this new way emerging. Old systems are completely disintegrating. Old medical systems, business systems, economic, educational, financial systems are all disintegrating and something new is emerging. Now, if you know the analogy of the butterfly in the imaginal cells, you have a caterpillar and it literally it cocoons itself, right? And it liquefies itself. It turns into complete liquid and then re-emerges and forms new wings and everything else it needs for its new life as a butterfly. And I would say that's akin to what we're seeing in business right now. We're in the liquefaction process where it's like the more we can learn the tools like the breath work with people like you, Debra, work with people like Brandon, and understand that this is a gift, that it's not something bad. The caterpillar doesn't think it's being punished because it's turning into a butterfly. It just knows that it needs to go through this transformational stage in order to emerge as something new and even more beautiful than what it even knew itself to be before.
That's beautiful. I have a thought, not to put, what should I say, pitting anyone against anyone age-wise. I have noticed that when I teach this work at Vanderbilt, the younger generation seems to be much more accepting of what we're talking about. And I don't know if that I make up the story that they see their parents and maybe their grandparents even suffering, and they don't want to have that be in their wheelhouse. And I would love to see schools have this work, and I would like to break down how schools are done and teach the most important thing is like, how do we be and how do we become? What are you seeing a generational, like your experience? Is there a generational gap? Is there a generation that's more, that's going to lead this, I guess is what I'm saying? Or what do you know what I'm trying to get to?
Yeah, I'd love to. Can I drop into some neuroscience for you both right now? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
And for the audience? So I'd love to tie in some neuroscience around this. Every second of every day, we have 11 million bits of information per second bombarding us at a subconscious level. And at a conscious level, Debra, Brandon, would love to hear a guess from you or anybody watching here live with us. How many bits of information, if you don't already know it, do you think out of those 11 million that we're paying attention to consciously, out of 11 million? Any guesses, guys?
1,000?
Nope, lower. Try again, Debra.
5.
Closer. So leading science tells us that of 11 million bits per second at a subconscious level, our conscious mind is only paying attention to 50 to 120 bits per second consciously. Now, there's many scientific reasons for this. We would literally be overstimulated. In fact, if you get into the world of psychedelics, I just read a great Dan Brown book about this called Secret of Secrets. That's what psychedelics actually remove some of the barriers that keep us focused. Otherwise, to your point, you were joking earlier, Brandon, about not being able to focus and ADHD, right? Imagine if we were bombarded by all 11 million bits, we wouldn't be able to function. We wouldn't be able to have a conversation right now. So here's the analogy I always give people. Life is like walking through an infinitely large, pitch black warehouse where you cannot even see your hand in front of your face. And the only thing we're given to guide us is I want you to visualize that you have a miner's helmet. And on that miner's helmet, all you have is this itty bitty little pen light. And in the infinite potentialities of the 11 million bits per second, that little pin light that's on your miner's helmet is going to show you whatever direction you're looking for. So if you look to the left, you'll only see what's to the left, missing everything over here, and vice versa. Well, if we tie that in now, Debra, to your original question about, is it a generational thing? I have learned, and I've trained myself and those that I've worked with to only look for the good. So because of where my miner's helmet pin light is pointing, I am always seeing coherence, love, magic, unity, openness, receptiveness, because that's what I'm looking for. Now, if I directed my miner's helmet to say, oh, where is the distrust? Where is the disconnection happening? Of course, if I put my attention there, I can find that. So I find that if I look for the good, if I literally look for coherence for how everybody is working out without blame or justification or defending or judgment, then life just happens miraculously. And part of it, that's why I list all my miracles every day. I try to find at least 30 or more miracles in my day every day and either write them down throughout my day or at the end of the day before bed. So that way I'm constantly looking for the good. So to your point, could there be more resistance with different generations compared to younger generations? It's possible, but I'm always going to look for how people are working together rather than working adversely to one another.
Makes total sense.
I know that was a lot of neuroscience.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. So go ahead, Brian.
No, I think it's fascinating because you talked about generations and just that idea of being in a black room with that tiny little light, and it's just amazing how your mind works. I'm just over here processing all of these things because this is all mind blowing to me. Because how do you unlock that? How do you can you get a bigger flashlight? Can you get something that allows you, or is that just it? I mean, is that the only light you can get? And how do you grow how do I see more,
I think there's two parts to this. So tying it back into the Dan Brown book, Secret of Secrets, if anybody likes Dan Brown, likes fiction, and wants to understand consciousness and everything, the science in that is relatively accurate based on everything I've studied and other neuroscientists I know who have validated that. So on the one hand, psychedelics, that's why you hear people have these crazy experiences, people who had brain issues and, brain damage, and they go and do ayahuasca and they have these big aha moments. That is removing, it's like having your whole helmet be a light and be like, whoosh, oh, wow, this is what life really looks like. It's like, oh my gosh. So that's one way. Of course, that's not for everybody, and I'm not here to advise or recommend that.
I immediately felt scared when you said that. Like, it was weird how the fear I felt it in my body being able to see all of that. There's almost a comfort in me knowing I can't see all of that and how scary it would be to see all of that. Is that like, I just felt that when you said, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can handle that.
I saw your whole body shift over to one side of the screen.
It's weird.
But most people cannot handle it. Like, a lot of people cannot. I'll be very candid with your audience. I have done psychedelics and I hadn't done it my whole life. And then like in the last 4 or 5 years, I did it a couple of times. And the first time I literally hit unconditional love. Like, if you know anything about Hawkins levels of consciousness, the highest level is enlightenment. And most of us tend to vacillate between courage to rationality, which is levels 200 to 400, and the lowest levels being shame and fear and guilt, right? And I remember exactly where I was, because my whole life I'd been vacillating between kind of rationality working towards love. And the first time I did it, all of a sudden I hit unconditional joy. Like, I hit this whole new thing, and it's like pulling a string on an instrument. But then if you get into other things like ayahuasca or bufo, those sorts of things, when I did bufo, it's death before dying. And I literally just dissolved into nothingness, and I was peace. I was just all things and everything. So it can be overwhelming if you're not ready for it, Brandon. And for anybody, and again, I'm not here to tell you, there are many spiritual ways and ways that you can do breath work to get to the same experience. So I'm not here to advocate for or against it. Go talk to other people who are experts in that field. I'm by no means an expert. And if you do holotropic breath work, if you do other things, meditation, you can reach these higher levels of awareness where you get a sense of the whole thing. We're actually, to your point, this is actually point in case, Brandon, we're like a horse with blinders on. That's the way you want to think about this. If the horse saw all the horses running next to him, the horse would go crazy. And so that's why most horses have blinders. That's how our brains were actually trained, was to protect us so we don't feel overwhelmed and go, oh my God, what the heck? This is overwhelming. So how we can train our brains, you may not, without psychedelics or holotropic breath work or other things, be able to see much more of the world. Maybe you can through meditation. However, what you can do is one of my favorite games called How Does Life Get Any Better Than This? Beautiful story. 2017, I used to host a popular podcast called Get Yourself the Job. And I had many of the top thought leaders, authors, experts in the world on the show at the time. And there was a guy who ran a company, gosh, I'm drawing a blank on it right now, but he was a very famous thought leader. And he shared a story on that particular episode in late July of 2017. He said, I teach people to say out loud every day, how does life get any better than this? How does life get any better than this? Because what you're doing, Brandon, to your point, is you're reminding your pin light to look for how life gets better. And he gives me a really great story. I'd never heard of this before. He says, I want to give you an example. I was teaching a class in New York, hundreds of students, and one of the students just learned this technique. And so she goes home for that night of the class, and it's hot. It's New York. It's the middle of summer. It's muggy, and she doesn't have a lot of money. And so she walks out of this corporate training session thing she was in New York, and she sees a dime on the ground. Now, how many of us would walk by a dime on the grimy streets of New York and be like, ew, no? But instead, you know what she did? She yelped with delight, said, how does life get any better than this? Picked up the dime and put it in her pocket. So she's walking towards the subway, and she walks not another like 50 feet or so on her way to the subway, and she sees a $10 bill. Those are so rare. They're not even in distribution anymore. And she's like, oh my gosh, how does life get any better than this? She picks up the $10 bill, puts it in her pocket, and continues walking to the subway. And it's really hot, and she is not looking forward to getting down there. And then an idea dawns her. Oh my God, she has $10.10 extra than she had before. What if she hailed a cab and instead allowed herself the luxury of an air-conditioned cab back? So she raises her arm up, and boom, again, right away, cab stops. This is highly unusual for New York City. She says again, how does life get any better than this? As she is exiting the cab in front of her building, she opens the cab door, looks down where the gutter is, where she's trying to place her foot carefully, and finds a diamond tennis bracelet around with nobody there to claim it. She's like, oh my gosh, how does life get any better than this? Now, I would not have believed this story myself if I hadn't been practicing this for now, how many years? 8 years? 9 years, I think I've been doing it. So I learned this in July of 2017. At the time, my company was like 6 years in business, I think, and we were successful, but not like the most or the least. We were successful. And that day, from that day on, I started playing the how does it get any better than this game. I even have accountability buddies where we text each other. One of my dear friends in Austin, who's an entrepreneur, we literally text each other every day. How does life get any better than this? And universe, give me something today to surprise, delight, and amaze me, and the wisdom to recognize and appreciate it. So this is just a tiny little text. She and I might go 6 months without talking, but we text each other this every day to remind ourselves to point that little pin light. So here's my verification of the story. So here I am. I start doing this every day on that day forward from when I do the show with this gentleman. Gary, I think was his name. Access Consciousness, I think was a company. So here we are. I start saying every day, how does life get any better than this? How does life get any better than this? I start teaching my friends. 30 days to the day after I learned this on this podcast, somebody messages me on LinkedIn, we'd like to buy your company. And the rest was history. And I sold my first company 6 months later.
Wow. That is amazing. Debra's like speechless over here.
Well, it makes me think of me saying, and I want to get back to it. My question is, how great can we make this? How great can it be? And I've asked clients that, but it reminds me to go back to that. And Brandon, it makes me think, let's practice this together.
Yeah, text each other, you guys, every day. It's so simple.
Yeah, I sit here. You know, it's weird because this whole thing, I just think, and back to the pen light thing, because I'm obsessed with this, and I love that theory of how can this get any better? Because I feel like I do that. Like I think it's a stop and smell the roses kind of a thing. You know, we get so busy, and it's like if she didn't stop to pick up the dime, maybe somebody else got to the $10 bill, or it didn't fall in time for her to get it. And if she didn't get that, like, if we just notice those things, good things happen. Do the next right thing, you know? And I wonder why people in general don't gravitate towards this. What about general society? Is it social media? What is it that, because it seems like this, if you're any human being, you'd want to do that. That just seems like joy every day. And you'd want to feel that. but it's almost like if I knew that I'm going back to that fear that I felt when you said the miner's helmet opened up. I think there are things out there that I know I need to address or I need to see, but it's okay because I'm looking over here and it's dark over there, and I don't want to look over there because if I do, then I have to address those things. And that's the fear. It's like a tipping point. Once you open it up and you know that, you just have to go do the work and you have to move past it. And I don't know the psychology around any of that. It's just something that that's what my brain's doing to me right now.
Wait. I just want to pause. Brandon, you do know the work.
I know. I do.
No.
But it's doing the work. And I'm not saying, look,
yeah,
I do a really good job. I am really happy with myself and I am so excited about the work I'm doing, but it never really ends. Once you start tasting the success of real joy, you just want more. And that's me. That's that balance I was trying to find. I want to keep going.
Yeah,
but
go ahead, Deb.
Said she practices her friends texting every day, right? So you're right, it's never a one and done. And Brandon, when you said that, it makes me think, of course there's always going to be fear, but it's which one are you going to listen to, right? It's never going to go away. So I would love for you to realize that that's like me and Jen. And yeah. So, and thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and I want to address your question. Thank you for that, Debra. Brandon, that you asked. Why? It is the question, right? Why? Why? If there's magic and miracles, another friend of mine, I think it was Yannick, no, it was another friend of mine who I interviewed, and he shared this on a podcast we did last year, the year before, and he said there's another version of the story of monks who would teach it, and they say, if you look to the left, all you see is pain and suffering and anger, and you look to the right, and there's mountains of gold and joy and happiness. Which way are you looking, right? And to tie it into why do we choose pain? Why not choose how life gets any better than this? It's that old adage, Brandon, the devil we know versus the devil we don't. We know what pain feels like. We know how to grope with pain. We've come up with coping mechanisms. It might be alcohol, it might be sex, it might be drugs. I'm not saying they're good coping mechanisms, but we've come up with coping mechanisms to deal with the pain we know. And for people to move into that area where they get to see the endless love, the joy, the happiness, having all of life work the way you want it to, that's uncomfortable because it's outside our comfort zones. So people would rather be in pain and comfortable than go through the butterfly process of turning into liquefaction and being able to have more beauty, the ability to fly, to see things from new perspectives, because we'd rather have that than the pain of transformation.
Yeah, they avoid discomfort, which is the work, Brandon, at the end of the book of the 15 commandments, right? The vision times discomfort, people avoid discomfort. They'll have a vision of how they want to experience life, but they typically don't create it because exactly they go back to what they know, which is suffering. People don't want it, but they do.
If I'm a person out there listening to this, right, and I'm talking about just the general person out there who's a leader, they're doing the things that they're growing, they're doing the work. What's like step one? What's step one to really, if I'm overwhelmed by the thought of this, of even looking towards that, what do I do first?
Can I take you through that right now, Brandon? Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
So this is step one. I work with all executives and entrepreneurs, and it's what I said I do with our own community before our events. Step one is we have to quiet that, not have to, cancel. I'm very aware if I say have to or should. I never want to should on you or your audience, and I don't want to ever tell somebody you have to or you need to. We have a choice. We have an opportunity to. So for you and your audience right now, Brandon and Debra, what I'm going to take us through is a very simple technique called heart-focused breathing by HeartMath. It's been studied for over 40 years. This is going to quiet our amygdala, that voice that is yelling at us and saying, this isn't safe. Oh my God, what am I going to do? It's too much. Like that voice you were just sharing in your head, Brandon. And that's okay. We're not here to judge that voice. That voice, we can be friends with it. It's like awesome. I had that voice, you guys, for over a decade. I threw up 10, 20, 30 times a day. I was bulimic, drank too much. I hated myself, tried to take my own life. So I promise you, it was not all fairy dust and roses, because people often look at me and mistakenly think, oh, she's had it so easy. No, like I literally tried to take my own life 3 times, and it's been out of survival that I've spent the last 20 years of my life compiling all of these tools to teach others. So here's what we're going to do. I invite those of you listening, and Debra and Brandon and anybody here in the room with us, to take a mental snapshot of where you're at emotionally. By the way, this is a wonderful exercise to do with any teams you work with as a leader. On a scale of 0 to 5, 5 means you are feeling amazing. You feel great. You have lots of energy. You've slept well. Maybe you're just feeling alive and vibrant. That's 5. 0, you have nothing. You're depleted. Maybe your kids were screaming. Maybe your dog is sick. God knows what. Maybe you didn't sleep at all. You're at a 0. We're not here to judge. We're here to take a mental snapshot. I'll check in for myself right now. I feel like I have a tickle in the back of my throat. I didn't sleep well the last 2 nights. So I'm going to give myself about a 2.8. So I'm not at a 5. I'm at about a 2.8 right now. So I invite you both just to kind of check in. Where are you both at right now before we begin the exercise?
I'm going to say a solid 3.
Nice. Awesome. Brandon said 3. What about you, Debra?
I'm noticing some chest constriction and some swirling in my belly, some anxiety, and a little bit of frustration. So I'd say a 2.5.
Okay, beautiful. Now this is information. So something you can do if you lead teams is you can ask your team and not even have them explain. I often do this when I'm leading workshops or seminars or trainings. I'll have people put in the chat their number, and it just gives us good information to know where the rest of the team is at and what can we count on each other for and what can't we count on each other for. Imagine you go hard on somebody who's at a 0-1. You've just lost that person. They might quit. They might wind up calling out sick for a week. You don't know. But if you know they're at a 0-1, maybe you can extend a little compassion to them. So here we go. We're going to do this. We're paying attention to kind of where our original number was. You can put your right hand on your heart or chest, but what I love about this exercise is you don't have to do this when you do it by yourself, and you can even do it with your eyes open. Though I encourage you, the first time you do this, gently shut your eyes if you're in a place where you can do so. And let's begin to focus our attention in the area of our heart or chest, imagining that our breath is flowing in and out, right through the center of our heart or chest, breathing a little slower and a little deeper than usual. Find an easy rhythm that's comfortable for you. As you continue allowing slow, deep, heart-focused breaths, let's play with the breath and breathe in to the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and out to the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, as we continue to find our own rhythm, allowing slow, deep, heart-focused breaths, imagining the heart itself is doing the breathing. On the next 3 inhalations, I invite us to breathe in calm. Imagine a time where you felt calm or peaceful, and I want you to breathe in that felt sense of calm right through the center of your heart or chest. And breathe out calm. Radiate that calm to everything and everyone around you. Let's do this 2 more times, allowing another slow, deep breath, imagining the calm going straight in through the center of your heart or chest and lighting up every cell of your body with calm. And again, pulsing and radiating that calm to anybody else you're holding in your heart or thinking of, or to the room around you. And one last time, let's go ahead and allow one more slow, deep breath together in through our hearts, feeling the felt sense of calm in our body. And once more, radiating and sending that calm to everything and everyone around us. Now, as you begin to allow your breath to return to its normal rhythms, you can gently place your hand down, begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, feel your feet upon the floor, and whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes. And maybe just take a mental note when you're ready of, is your number the same? Has it gone up? Has it gone down? There is no right or wrong answer. For me, I would say I think I'm closer to a 4 now. How are you feeling?
I'm sensing a 4 as well.
Beautiful. And what about you, Brandon?
I definitely feel like I'm still in that nice, calm, happy, warm place. I would go a 4.
Yeah.
Easy. I think that definitely went up.
Yeah, so here's what happens, everyone, is that the reason we can't look for the good, it's because we're coming from fear. As one of my oldest teachers taught me, you can either come from love or from fear. I think, Deborah, you were the one who so beautifully put that earlier. And in every moment, we're coming from fear or love. And we have no capacity to come for love because that's a higher emotion, higher consciousness, prefrontal cortex until we first quiet the amygdala. So when we do this, we create greater resilience. And over time, you have that capacity to pause. We're just like a cell phone. If I have my cell phone here and I use it all day, and I don't recharge it, what happens? The battery dies, right? So too are our human bodies like that. So I use this technology at the beginning of the day, throughout the day, in between meetings, before important meetings, and it really makes a big difference. And actually, Deborah, may I offer something that I made a note to mention to you when you did the opening for the show?
Yes, please.
You were beautifully mentioning the client that you're potentially going to serve and that she might be coming from wherever she's coming from. Is she coming from fear or love? I think is where this began. One of my favorite tools that I've learned in business and spiritually in the last probably 10 or 15 years is a very simple tool that is amazing for working with clients, with your family, with any sort of conflict. And it's called proactive confrontation. So when we go into, it could be an important board meeting, a potential client meeting, it could be a difficult conversation we need to have with a business partner, a child, a spouse, a family member. What normally happens is you get riled up. Your amygdala, that area is going like, we're going to fail. We're going to lose the client. This is so dangerous. I shouldn't be doing this. Whatever your inner voice is saying that we want to shut it up, right? And so what I love about proactive confrontation that I often do in combination with the heart focused breathing by heart math that we just did is you pause and you ask from your heart to the other person's heart, is Debra available to receive what I'm about to tell her right now? And if the answer is yes, you still have the conversation on that day. If the answer is no, this will solve world conflict, by the way. If the
Yeah.
answer is no, you wait for better timing. And
Yeah.
the cherry on top of this is to actually have the entire conversation you want to have with, I had somebody do this for an investor call that they were getting on. You visualize the entire conversation from your heart to the heart of the other person, and you visualize it going the way you want it to go. And then it actually improves the outcome of the call.
I super, super agree with that. And I love that. And yes, yes, and yes. And I noticed what I have done when I notice someone is not open, I gently say, it's okay right now. All of you is not open to having this conversation. It's okay. Let's create a time for when that might be friendlier to you to do that. Because sometimes people are so triggered that in that moment, they're like spiraled way down, and like no blame or shame. It's okay. It's just the unconscious mind reacting and holding that space as well. Like nothing has to happen at that point. And saying too that it's not like, I always say to people, it's not like you're going to be there forever. It's just right now you're here. And so let's just create a time where you're more open and curious around this. And for right now, can you just accept that you're just right here right now? And that's okay.
Perfect. Nailed it. That's exactly it. And it's the awareness. It keeps going back. I know you were mentioning this earlier, Brandon. The more we have awareness that we even have a little pen light and that we're focusing on X instead of Y, none of this is good or bad. The minute you can see the pen light, the minute you can see the potential conflict and not choose to engage, because that's, I was just doing this in full transparency last night with my husband. It's hilarious that we're on a live show right now because so yesterday I do a lot of podcasts, a lot of shows, and I'm so grateful to be here with you. And there was a very popular podcast I was being interviewed on yesterday about the Jen Hill tribe. The whole thing was like coming out and how to tell a better story about the Jen Hill tribe from a friend of mine, Kyle. And so I told my husband about 500 times, clearly not enough. I said, my love, I said, let's be sure, please don't order anything. I said, because we have a dog who loves to bark if the doorbell rings. I was like, please, my love, just don't order anything. I love you. I need silence, show, blah, blah, blah. So all of a sudden, about maybe like, it's only a 30-minute interview, about like maybe 10 minutes in, all of a sudden I hear the doorbell ring. And I'm like, and then the dog is barking, and it's not just for like 1 minute. My husband had gone downstairs to try and intercept the guy before he got to the door, but he wasn't even in the house now. So now the guy is ringing the bell, and it's going on, and the dog is barking at like a level 10. And so I was totally like triggerable last night, right? And although I didn't raise my voice, I was like, honey, like we need to talk about this. Like this is not okay. But can you notice, like old Jen, am I allowed to say a whole word, Deborah? Am I allowed to say the word?
Yeah,
Whatever you want.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
Asshole Jen. I have a book I'm working on called The Recovering Asshole. Asshole Jen from like 15, 20 years ago would have lost my shit. I would have been like, how dare I did actually, embarrassingly. I used to have a separate office next to our office for this live podcast that I would record. And my old assistant, John, years ago, walked in the middle of a live show with like a very prominent guest. We used to get 50,000 downloads a month. It was pretty big. And I was not a kind person. I literally like yelled at him. I've since apologized to him. I'm like, John, I'm so sorry for what a dick I was all those years ago. But I was just like praise in public and reprimand in private. And I totally reprimanded him in front of the whole team. So at least this time, new Jen was like, hey, my love, let's talk about this. But I still noticed that I was triggered and I got caught in a loop. Now, after about 20 minutes, old Jen would be angry for days, weeks, months, years. New Jen will get upset for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes max and normally can dissipate it using these tools.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And can I just say one thing, Jen?
Yeah.
You had said something. Gosh darn it. Hold on. I want to grab it back in my head. I can very much shame or blame myself around when I go off the rails. And so I am like, no, that's the part of me, the part that I know, right, that wants to defend and protect. And that's not who I am. That's just a part of me. And if I don't accept that one and hear that one, it's going to drive because it wants to be heard, but not to be driving me. And I like to tell people that until we accept that that is part of us, but that's not who we are, that is going to still run us. And so there is no shame and blame to that part that can show up and be reactive. It's like, oh yeah, you have a part in my life. You've had a part that got me here, but no longer are you going to get me to that next part of me that I want to become. And so until we can accept that, we're going to be fighting that. So I just want to say to everyone, there's nothing wrong with you. This is how we are wired for safety, but we're more than that. Like Jen is explaining, it's that part of our brain, the amygdala, that wants to protect, but how we access, we are more than that now. And so not to blame or shame that part, but to accept it. And then because we can only accept this part of us and when we accept this part of us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Brandon, anything you want to add about that?
You know what? I don't. I feel like I'm somebody at home listening to this podcast, and I'm trying to like take it all in. My brain's going all over the place with so many different thoughts. One thought that I have is just how much I'm enjoying this conversation, how much I'm enjoying having you here on the show, Jen. It's such a bright, joyful moment. Just being able to be a part. I feel this is the best thing ever, that I get to be a part of this show, that I get to be a fly on the wall almost hearing you guys talk. I'm like, what did I pinch myself? This is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts. I'm just, wow.
Yeah. Tell us, thank you, Brandon. Tell us, Jen, will you share with us like what's exciting you for the rest? Like, I know you've got something coming up. And then how do we find you? Like, if we want to know more about you, how do people get in touch with you? How do they find you?
Beautiful. So I'll start with a couple ways you can connect with me. I'm very active on LinkedIn. If you Google Jen Hill, you'll find me on a lot of places, or Jennifer K. Hill. If you want to join my mailing list, you'll get a free gift. You can go to antiassholeprayer.com. Yes, that is a real thing. It's one of my most famous things I'm known for. It's called the Anti-Asshole Prayer. So if you want to zap the people who are jerks in your life and live a life with more harmony, less drama, you can get a free copy of the Anti-Asshole Prayer, as well as my 21 favorite morning mantras, which included in that is how does life get any better than this? So just go to antiassholeprayer.com. In terms of the Jen Hill Tribe, you can always go to Jen Hill Tribe, find out more about what we're doing there. Deb's a part of it, and we have many other incredible humans around the world, and it's my privilege and honor to get to hold space for everyone there. And in terms of what's exciting me, I'm so grateful. I have a couple upcoming speaking engagements. I just put a deposit down to join one of our tribe members, Jem Fuller, who is doing a trip to the Himalayas to his family's property out there where we get to go to special temples. It'll be in October. Debra, maybe you can join us. It'll be super fun. You would love Jem if you message me after the show and I can introduce you. So we'll start off in Delhi. Like Jem was just sending me the details before this, what the trip is going to entail. He sent me a video of his family's temple that's very rural and up in the mountains in the Himalayas. So I'm excited to be there in October. And I'll be speaking. People often ask me where am I speaking at next so they can see me. The next public appearance that I'll be speaking at, one of them will be in September. So that'll be in September 17th to the 19th at Hillary DeCaesar's event. And that's more of a women-led event. But you can always, if you sign up for the mailing list, you'll get notified for any online or in-person events that I'm doing.
Amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I've always wanted to go to the Himalayas, by the way.
You should come. You would literally love Jem, you guys. And it's reasonable too. I mean, you guys would be fast friends. You fly in and out of Delhi, and I'm so excited. I love adventure. For me, my whole life is just one big travel adventure of getting to bring people together. And that's my favorite thing, is just weaving the fabric of connection around the world.
I love that. Thank you for being such a bright, loving light to us today.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure to be with both of you. And I'm so happy. What an honor, you guys. I've done thousands of podcast interviews. This is literally one of the most fun ones I've ever done. So I'm so happy we got to play together.
You say that to everybody. I know what's going on here.
I can't lie. Part of my autism is I literally cannot lie. I'm like, I suck. Watch. It's like if I try to lie, I'm trying to think of something I could even lie about. I don't think I can. I suck at lying.
Say you're a brunette.
I can't do it. It's okay. It's like,
Good one, Brandon. Good one, Brandon. I love it.
Jen Hill, thank you so much for joining us today. Debra, what do you have? Do you have anything you need to promote? Anything you want to talk about here?
I'm launching, God willing, next week. As you all know, I've been working with CEOs and their teams on consciousness as well. And I'm decided to support B2B coaches and consultants who want to really get in with these larger companies, because I really believe they're wanting this work. And how can I support coaches and consultants to thrive as well in their space? So yeah, so I'm launching that next week. A 4-month commitment of growth for them. Are we going to do Shut Up and Thrive with Jen?
You better believe it. If you're coming to Nashville, anybody, and you want to come visit Nashville and you want to go dine somewhere amazing, right here you'll see the Nashville Area Restaurant Alliance. If you go to naranashville.com, it has a list of the best local restaurants. You will not go wrong. Definitely check out naranashville.com. That's my little plug that I'm going to throw out there. And thank you to our guest. Thank you, Todd Cash, for joining us throughout this. He's been watching here as we've been live. Jen, thanks again. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And for everybody else out there, please join us next time on Shut Up and Thrive. Nice. Jen just jumped right in there.
I got it.
Have a wonderful day.
All right, ciao. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.